Turn your house into a dream home. Recently opened a brand new one-stop stop for hardware and home decor. Visit the Home Hub at Mylliem Madan Riting.
Vice Chairman Jong Niti Ayog usuman bari ulawan Jngoh ya ka office Jong Hima Mylliem menta ka janmit rengkat ke jingalam u CM ke ki HGC wa penya sing CM ya ka bala priang subhayu u dus CM ke Hima Mylliem u paim aina manik CM rengkat bat dimentri kani ki jingle Jong u beri ka dei banya slok bat bantip ya ki jing Treikam jong ki Hima rei kam dei ka bala pengkre ya ka no kaman abakran chikila pathai Khubor u beri ulaong ba ka jingkeng Jong Niti Ayog ka day ka jing kadaw ya ka jing pendap jong jylla hanray kamut ban bichar ya kata baro hanray kabadon kam kalong kathong bat ka jing pendap ilong gi bakong santam ulong maka Niti Ayog kamla ban rai ban ai pisa bets cha ki district council hanray ka day ka sarkar jylla ka Niti Ayog ka wan hangni ban bichar hanray ban nyerap kumno ban la nakamanta ban ai jing bet jing biang ya ki paiba la benrap uberi ulai tu ba ulayo jingtip ya ka jingdon ka Rukom sencha la ka jong kum ki riulum ha ka ni ki jylla bat kum kani ka jing pun Khubor sha ki snong ka dei ka ba julong ru ha ki babun jong ka ri jong ka dau ba Europe.
I had said in my remarks that each chief minister is a member of my board of directors. We call it the governing council. It so happens that Chief Minister Sangma has engaged with me and with Niti Ayog continuously since since he called on me in April, but we've also met in Delhi a couple of other times. I had not had the opportunity to visit officially Meghalaya on my own. So you can, as I was saying, as I was saying, each corner of India is different. We as Niti Ayog are there to serve the states. Honorable Prime Minister says often and believes that India grows when its states grow. And so it's not only a question of growth, it's a sabka saath, sabka prayas, sabka vikas. So to understand what inclusive growth means in each part of the country means visiting. So it is a courtesy visit. It's not an agenda-driven visit, but it's an opportunity for me to understand the issues facing the state. So that's why I'm here. When you are looking at a number of indicators, it's always easy to find some where one state is not doing as well as others. So, it is what it is. We try to be scrupulous, and it differs across. So it's not only the level; it's the amount of improvement that you should be looking at. But we have, indicators on multidimensional poverty. We have indicators on health, etc. So I'm not going to make an overall judgment of Mylliem. But what I would say is what I said yesterday about 10 billion. What I've learned by serving the Prime Minister is that goals and targets are important motivational tools. They have to be realistic, but they have to be ambitious. So it's an ambitious goal. But what it has done, and this is what was presented to me by the Chief Secretary yesterday, is it has stimulated a whole body of additional work to identify strategies to get to the 10 billion figure. But look, 5 years ago, nobody would have anticipated COVID. Nobody would have anticipated a war in Ukraine. So there are ambitious targets, But, and the state government is very conscious of this, but also this, as it were, the governance at the same level. There's also the question of equipping communities and indeed households to deal with shocks, be it a tornado or floods or whatever. So that is part and parcel of, as it were, preparing to be a $10 billion economy, is to make sure that if a shock comes along, as COVID did, that you are prepared for it. And I think that, local communities were very important in the way that Meghalaya responded to COVID, which was a major shock. Again, Niti Ayog officially publishes many rankings. It also, so this is not an assessment mission, it is a get acquainted mission. So what I would say is that this government has been very conscious of and active on bringing many national schemes to the far corners of Meghalaya. So drinking water, rural roads. So there are many achievements. However, those achievements are conditioned by the circumstances of Meghalaya, which is that it has a number of villages. Those villages are not necessarily, easy to reach. Those villages have their own schools, which have to be brought to the right level to national standards. Institutional deliveries are difficult, again, because of the geographic dimension. So there's a lot of achievement, but there is an agenda, and I don't think there's any mystery about what the action areas are, because this government puts a lot of effort into communicating its plans. So please don't think that I am here to judge. I am here to see how Niti Ayog, with its own limited resources, can be of use. And I have to say that one reason I came at this time is because CM, when we met at the G20, indicated how important he believed Niti Ayog was to the progress of the state. I wasn't aware of that. As I explained in my brief remarks, my interest arose for two reasons. One is that, in general, Prime Minister Modi has paid a lot of attention to tribal issues. And tribal communities are a significant part of India's population. They are not always well supported by national schemes. And so for Niti Ayog, on a national level, not just on a state level, as it were, being alert to tribal level issues is important. Because if you want a development strategy that leaves no one behind, then you do have to worry about, I think it's 200 million tribals. That was one concern. So, the Northeast is tribal, Meghalaya was tribal. This is my first official visit to any state in the Northeast. And so I was interested in the tribal dimension of Meghalaya. But second, I had become aware, because my wife has a connection with Meghalaya, that district councils have a role, have power. And so I expressed an interest in finding out what their powers are, what their jurisdiction is, This came up in my brief conversation with the CM in Delhi, and that one thing led to another, and basically they said, well, there are two kinds of structures, Khasi structures. Some are urban, some are rural, and they have their own practices, their own systems. Would you like to meet them? And I said yes. And so, even in 15 or 20 minutes, I've learned a lot about their duties, their powers. I did not prepare myself on the issue of funding. Okay, ultimately that's a matter for the state government and not the union government. I did make the point that in some ways decentralized community decision making is a characteristic of many European countries, and if we have a model in Meghalaya, we should cherish it and learn from it. So that's all I would say.